Hi, I'm Dr. Go. If you're new to my videos, I've been a professional violinist for over 20 years as a soloist, as a professional orchestra musician, even as faculty in universities and festivals. I've taught seminars. I'm a published author on violin playing. I'd like to share some of what I've learned with all of you. Today's topic is about weightlifting exercises that are beneficial for violinists. That being said, before anybody ever engages in any fitness activity, number one, they should first check with a doctor if they're physically fit enough to begin an exercise regimen. Number two, okay, if you are new to weightlifting in any sense, let's say you haven't lifted in a long time or you've never lifted in your life, I highly recommend spending the time and the money to hire a good professional trainer to make sure you're doing everything properly, because like anything else in exercise, in the exercise world, if you do it improperly, you can end up seriously injuring yourself. Like on the violin, if you do something with incorrect technique or form, not only could you injure yourself, you could also make it more difficult to approach the instrument than it needs to be, and you may not get the results that you wish. So exercise, just like the violin, you want to approach it very carefully with a good guide to direct you. That being said, here are some exercises that seem to work really well for violinists. So first one, if you are cleared with a clear bill of health for weightlifting exercises for the whole body, especially for orchestra musicians, an exercise that I found very beneficial for myself, my colleagues, and some of my students that have gone on professionally, shrugs. I don't recommend that you go and lift the heaviest weights you can find. Not at all. Just lift a decent weight that allows you to correctly work those muscles without overloading them. Okay, you don't need to be like Ronnie Coleman or Eddie Hall in order to play the violin. Just lift enough to work those muscles gently. And the reason is you're working the trapezius muscles that run from the base of the neck down to the shoulder, and they actually run down to the middle of your back. Those muscles are ones that oftentimes you will see players that have been playing in the orchestra a long time. Maybe their posture might not be the best. Maybe they got injured because I've actually seen this one happen. Somebody was having some tummy ache problems, long-term, slightly long-term, so they sat funny and they hurt their back. If you're doing shrugs and you strengthen those muscles, they support better, they can take a little bit more abuse. Now, of course, it's better not to have to abuse your positioning, because of a sore tummy or something like this, but these situations do happen. And when rehearsal happens, we have to be there. Another exercise that works very well for violinists, now this one, whether you're sitting or you're standing, is good stuff for you, is the traditional deadlift. This, again, you do not need to lift heavy. You don't have to go and slam, a 500 kilo deadlift. On the contrary, just lift enough with proper form to correctly work your muscles. Now, if you work with a good professional trainer, you'll be looking at higher rep counts, and that's good. Whether it's for shrugs or deadlifts or any other exercise, if you're new to weightlifting, you don't need to be sitting there slinging, such a heavy weight that you can only lift it 5 times. That's not recommended at all. Not for violinists, because we have to hold up our instrument for a very long time. So the training has to be different. I would recommend working with a trainer for looking for weights that you can lift 20 times or more. And always lift slowly, listen to your trainer. Like I talk about listening to your violin teacher as a student, I recommend listening to your trainer if you're learning how to lift weights. Another really good one, squats. Deep, full squats. If you have an injured knee, I had an injured knee for a while, so I couldn't do full squats for a while, but now that it's healed, I'm doing full squats again. It really helps in your endurance, in your mental endurance. It's just helpful in a lot of ways. Highly recommended. Now, as a violinist, it is not necessary to sit there and build a giant chest, huge arms, or anything like this. I'm only talking about muscles that really are beneficial to not sustaining injuries while we're playing, and also exercises that help support us. Okay, if you look at the ones I'm suggesting, deadlifts and squats both work the core a lot. Shrugs, if your core is not strong, you're not getting up a heavy weight at all. So that's why another reason, stick with a lighter weight. Now, last but not least, is the core itself. I highly recommend, again, even if you're a seasoned professional at lifting weights, go to a trainer again for the correct types of sit-ups. If you're already advanced, maybe you need weights with your sit-ups to give yourself the proper amount of resistance to work your core in the correct way to be supporting yourself while you perform. Okay, it's not recommended while you're playing violin to sit there, pop out your tummy, and put all the stress on your lower back. I mean, if you're doing deadlifts, yes, you can abuse that a little bit, but it's not recommended, especially if you're a soloist and playing for a long time. Or any other situation. I see people in the orchestra who have a good position. You know, they're sitting up nicely, everything's well supported. But if they have, for some reason, you know, they ate something funny or something and they sit funny, I've seen injuries come just from a 1.5 hour rehearsal, just like that. So it's important really to make sure your core is well supported. So sit-ups, reverse bends, side bends, highly recommend all of those. Farmer carries, those also are nice. Anything for the core. I've heard some musicians with fantastic results in yoga and Pilates. Not going to badmouth either of those because I've seen great results in both my students and my colleagues as well. So highly recommend to check those out as well. And of course, any martial arts that build your core and improve your flexibility. Body awareness is huge in violin playing. To be able to feel what's going on in the major knuckles, to be able to feel the release or tension of the middle of the palm, the base of the thumb, is very important so that we don't accidentally squeeze and knock our hands out of position or something like that. Okay, so this is not an exhaustive list by any means of the imagination. However, I highly recommend that you check these out and talk with a personal trainer if you're interested in this area of thought. If there's anything I'm saying in this video, as usual, that is contrary to what your teacher is telling you, please ignore me, listen to your teacher. And as always, I wish all of you just a wonderful time on this fantastic journey of our beautiful instrument. Cheers.